Hey there, Yuri is here, and welcome to Community Life. Here we talk with the amazing humans from the community world about their life journeys and learn from each other. And today is a very special episode, and not only because it's 100th, woohoo, but also because it was a great surprise for me personally. When I recorded a 90s episode with Edge Kurterunner, we discussed doing something special for the 100th episode, but not in the details, and she didn't tell me she was going to do it. Next, I received a DM from Edge with the text, "Please don't tell me you already recorded your 100th episodes. When would you be available to record it with me and some other surprise friends?" And some days later, I entered the room and Edger, Ilker, Rusi, Tim, Rosie, Said, Jennifer, Francisco, Helena, Laura, and Millie, they were all there. And I definitely didn't expect it. And I was amazingly happy and touched seeing my friends come in to celebrate this milestone with me. And I've seen many movies with surprise birthday parties, but I've never experienced something like that in my life. And that's exactly how I felt at that moment. And yes, in this episode, they are asking me questions. So let's jump right into our conversation.
Hey there, Yuri's friends are here and welcome to Community Life. Here, Yuri talks with amazing humans of the community world and their life journey, and we all learn from each other. Today, we'll have a conversation with the amazing Yurii Lazaruk, the community psychologist and the host of the Community Life show. We're celebrating today the episode 100 of the show. So welcome everyone and welcome Yuri.
I'm super happy. Yeah, it's totally unexpected. So when Edge told me, "Oh yeah, let's do it," and I will invite just a few friends, and then like so many friends, it's like crazy. But yeah, thank you very much.
Thank you.
Hey Yuri, hey everyone. I think this is such a fun idea. Yuri, congratulations on 100 episodes. That is not easy to do. I am incredibly impressed. My question for you is, what is one thing that you truly believe that most other people would think is crazy?
Okay, so I've done this one thing, and I believe that it's some kind of crazy. But the crazy was one thing that happened before. So I was working in the bank,
Okay.
and it was like somewhere in the middle of the week. It was Wednesday or something like that. It was Wednesday afternoon. And one of my colleagues had birthday. And in Ukraine, we have this tradition that if you have a birthday, you kind of bring some food, bring some stuff, and you kind of celebrate it right in the middle of the day. And this person brought vodka, and he decided to get it to everyone in the middle of the week, in the afternoon. And I really didn't want to drink it, but I just couldn't, reject it because like everyone were like in the circle and like, yeah, cheers. So, this move when you do in the movies, like put it around your shoulder. So basically,
shoulder.
I was watching everyone near me, and when everyone was drinking, I was like, and I have no idea what was behind me. Like it was some wall or something. I hope I
Totally
didn't
not a
even
person.
but the person, my another colleague who stayed near me, she looked at me like, but she didn't say anything, and nobody said anything because only she saw this. And I bet there were a lot of rumors after that in the office. But I feel like it's like something crazy, like I saw it in the movies and I was like, oh my God, how crazy it is, like do this. It's so crazy and fun. And then I tried it and it worked.
That's a fantastic answer. Well done. I will pass the mic to Sayed. I'm sorry, I'm not sure how to pronounce your name.
Wow. Thank you for this privilege. So I know you are an SEO guy. So when I thought what to ask Yuri, I put this behind the bars.
Do a revenge.
Yeah. You scanned my whole life when I was there. So yeah. Be careful. Nah, I'm joking. So the question is, how can we use SEO power to build our content strategy for the community?
Oh my God. I have no idea. You know, like
When you are thinking about it, I just wanted to say that, man, we love the work you do. I'm thinking that there is no other person building community at large scale as you are doing these days. So yes, big congrats. Now you can answer anytime.
just to add, the fun thing that while I was waiting in the waiting room, I was just posting an episode with Grace Ling, and she also built a huge community, I feel like. And the fun thing that SEO, it's interesting. My community journey started with the SEO, and it was because of I delegated it when I had my internet shop. I delegated SEO to some person, and they did a shitty work, but I didn't know that. And how I knew that, so I went to an SEO forum, and then how I found out that they're doing nothing. And then I was like, why don't we meet in person with all those people who I had conversations with on the forum? And it was so crazy. And the craziest thing that 2 people who came to this meeting lived near me, like in the neighborhood. Like, I don't know, we were living like 3 minutes, 5 minutes away from each other, and we didn't even know that before we met there. And it was so amazing. But the fun thing that I don't even know, you know, when the war in Ukraine started, I kind of stopped doing this SEO meetups. Definitely nobody cared about meetups, you know, when the war in your country. But I lost the track of what's going on in the SEO world, because exactly in these few years, ChatGPT rolled out, and I don't even know what's going on currently. I'm asking people like, how do you do SEO right now in this all this Google search with all these ChatGPTs and stuff? And like, some people saying that it's getting easier because it's so easy to write copies and all the stuff, but search engines are also not that stupid. So basically, they know how to find if these things are artificial. Everything is artificial right now, except for this conversation, for sure. So
yeah, that's enough. Yeah. That's enough. Don't get. It's fine.
Don't. Yeah. Don't. Better stop.
Thank you for your answer. And yeah, thank you for having me. I'm really happy. Thank you.
Oh,
hey, Yuri, my friend.
Okay, I know what's going on. I know what's happening.
No,
Said will ask crazy question. Definitely.
No,
something about llamas and alpacas. No.
No, I have the most basic question ever, I guess. But before that, first of all, thanks a lot. Your podcast, I think this was the first podcast I was a guest on, and then we had even 3 different episodes. One for the community, one, and then we have Freelance Sucks and Freelance Thrives. And since then, I get so many invitations for podcasts. Thanks for starting my podcast guest career. I have no idea how to monetize it, but I will work it out. You will tell me later.
However, 10% will be enough. Yeah.
However, my question to you is, how would you explain your profession or community building to my 70-year-old parents who don't even understand what internet is and how it works? So go ahead.
Remember,
how do you earn your money?
I usually thinking about how to explain it to 5-year-old, and I still have no idea how would I explain it to my kid, even though he's 12 years old already. He still don't get it. But the fun thing is, I thinking about my grandparents, and when they were young, they were going to this dance nights or something like that, and they were working in factories, and basically they were gathering, and people who worked on the factories, they were getting their friends to these dance nights. So I would say it's like inviting your friends to the dance night. And that's exactly how my grandparents met. My grandfather met my grandmother, because they had friends and they invited them and they met at these dances. So basically, I would say that it was like old school communities back then. So I don't know if your grandparents know about that. Most likely they did the same.
But
who knows? You never know. I feel like we are all community builders, since in so many generations, because it's nothing new here. It's like it was for thousands of ages with us, and it's fun that some people are thinking that it's something new, but nothing new. We just keep repeating the same things all over and over and over again. So
then I will show them the recording, and I will get back to you if they understood it or not. Thanks a lot.
give me a feedback, please. I really need to know an answer.
Yuri, and I'm not going to let you out on the easy way here, because I know you're going to say probably several things, but I want you to pick one thing in your life that has had a profound impact on who you are today.
Wow. One thing that made a profound impact. I listened to some business podcasts or like business videos, and I remember when they asked like, tell one book that influenced your life, and I was like, how it isn't possible to name one book that influenced your life? It's like, I don't know, like alphabet book or something like that. I have no idea. And it's pretty much the same here, but I would say that, yeah, really Harry Potter. The fun thing, I feel like I didn't read Harry Potter, but I watched some movies of it. But the fun thing that I was super shy person like 10 years ago or something like that. And it was so much easier for me to stay in a long queue, to understand that I was staying in the wrong queue. And some British friends told me that's exactly how British people do. So maybe I'm kind of British. So, but what really changed is when I started running my internet shop, and to understand how to talk to people, I was working in like real in-person internet shop, not internet, in real in-person shop. And I was selling goods for children, goods for kids, for newborns, like prams, beds, and all this stuff. And, people were coming there usually happy because they were expecting their babies, and they were buying all those things, and they wanted some help, and they wanted to choose the best things for their babies and all the stuff. And that's exactly how I learned to talk to people, to communicate to people, to ask them questions, to help them. And I would say that's where my community building path started, and this path totally changed my life. And once again, all this is stuff with SEO for my website. So I would say something when I left my career in bank, and when I transitioned to this totally unknown entrepreneurship thing, I still have no idea how to do that. But I would say that it was one thing that comes to my mind right now.
Hello.
Hello, Rosie.
Hello.
Before you start, let me tell something. You, Rosie, was the first person ever who I had a conversation in English about community building. And at that point, Rosie Land, I received your newsletter, and there was like link, book a conversation with me. And I was like, oh my God, this amazing superstar allows people to book conversations with her. I would do this right away. And I was so much surprised when you jumped to this conversation and we had it really. I was like, is that even possible? So yeah, thank you very much for that.
I'm a little bit embarrassed now. But yeah, I remember that conversation. But yeah, my question is, one of the things that I like to do is think back in time, and then compare it to the current day. So my question is, what would young Yuri think of current Yuri?
I would say that young Yuri would think like, oh, who is this crazy man? What is he doing? Like, what the hell? Like, where are all these Lamborghinis and Ferraris, and etc. And like, where is all this fancy life? Why you are not a professional football player or soccer player, or why are you not a a professional game tester or something like that. So yeah, it's better not to ask young Yuri what he thinks about me now, because I would say that he might be disappointed. So, but I have a lot of things to tell to my younger self, and that's exactly what I'm trying to tell to my kid. But he usually tells me, teach yourself, So, and I'm like, I'm trying to teach you, god damn it, and teach yourself. So, Rosie, I feel like you have 5 children, so you kind of might be in the very similar loop sometimes.
Constantly. Thank you.
My Duolingo friend. Hello.
Congratulations. It's such a huge milestone. And I feel so honored that I was ever even included in one of these episodes. So thank you. And thank you for being such a wonderful Duolingo Quest partner and for really stepping up when we needed it. My question to you is a pretty simple one. What is your favorite thing about hosting Community Life each time?
Oh, yeah. The more I have conversations, the more I try not to ask the same questions, and the harder it becomes to not to ask the same questions. Because at the end of the day, we're all very similar in some points. Some people like biking, some people like hiking, some people like running, and it's a big part of many people's lives, and I just can't avoid those questions. But I'm always like a little bit of nervous. God damn it, I'm asking the same questions all over and over and over again. But when I prepare to the conversation, I see that there are so many different parts of people, and we are still, even though we look like similar, we are different, definitely not the same. And there are so many different things to ask. So I really rarely ask the same questions, just only if it's like very important to ask. And I really love when people are going like kind of deep into their stories and sharing, and be in this vulnerable mode, because at this moment I feel like, oh, these people trust me. And I always say this on before the recording, if you want something to cut something at the end of the conversation, just tell me, I will do this, so you can be your honest self. And I really appreciate that people, do not stop themselves, do not shut themselves down, but really talking. And for me, it really helps to become a friend. And sometimes I say that, after this conversation, I feel like we were friends for ages. And that's what I really love about all and every conversation.
Thank you. That's a great answer.
Hi, Yuri. How are you? Well, good to see you. Congrats with your 100th episode. I can't believe my episode was in July, which is soon going to be a year ago. Time flies.
It's so weird that it was already a year ago, because for me, it looks like it was yesterday. I just wanted to ask, how's Dwayne,
Well, I don't have him anymore. I don't have the cutout anymore, sadly. If you want to give it to me for my birthday, you're very welcome. It's on June 2nd. But anyway, it's been almost a year. And you kind of actually answered my question in the previous previous answer, but it was about how you choose what questions to ask, because the questions that you ask can be super random. And maybe let's not talk about questions, maybe let's talk about the strategy behind the questions, like an Instagram stalk, a Twitter stalk, like how do you operate?
It's fun, but it's really random, so there is no strategy. I just go for, so what I really look for, it's something that is not usual. For example, if you are usually on I really rarely look on LinkedIn, because on LinkedIn we are so professional, we are so amazing, we are so nice and like perfect version of ourselves, and it's just impossible to find. Sometimes there are some good gems, because you still can't hide your true self, but it's kind of harder to go. So I always try to go to Instagram or Facebook or sometimes Twitter, somewhere that where you are really, yeah, let's say it with you was hard, but you're really open on LinkedIn, so no worries. And it was really hard to have conversation with people who do not very open on social media, because I had to go through LinkedIn professional posts and find some nuggets of real persons there. And what I'm usually trying to do to take something that stand out for some reason. And for example, if you shared it, you still shared it, but it was like, this like small moment. It's like you showed your real self. And I'm really curious, like, what is the story behind? So I'm trying to find this small, not usual pieces. If you have this, if we're talking about probability and statistics, there's this Gaussian normal. I lose my English word, how it works. So if there are any jumps on some parts of this graph, like on the left or on the right, I always look to those peaks and I try to take them and like, okay, so tell me more about them. I'm really curious to know why, because for me, it's like, why did you share this? I want the full story. I don't want the small story. I want the full story. So let's talk about it.
Makes sense. I remember that you had a hard time finding information about me, but then you still managed to dig something up. So good on you. Well done. All right. Thank you for your answer.
Hello.
On your 100th episode. This is great. Huge accomplishments. Everybody said you should be proud of yourself. And my question will kind of follow Helena, since she asked about how you choose those questions. So based on the questions that you choose, is there one story that sticks out to you that one of your guests has shared with you?
There are many stories.
Or give us two.
Yeah.
Top three.
Exactly. And, I would say that I really appreciate really deep, vulnerable stories when you go behind, you go more than just sharing something that you would easily write a post on LinkedIn about, where you share something that you didn't tell to anyone or wouldn't even consider writing a post about, or may just tell a close circle of close friends. And I immediately recall the story of how Pablo Gonzalez told about his brother death, and it really stays with me and I feel like it was one of the few moments when we kind of cried during the conversation. And I would say the second is, once again, it's really deep story of how Venya went through this gender transition process, and it was hard. And I felt at this moment I had no words, because I really didn't know what to add. Sometimes it's better to just listen and just be quiet. But I was like, oh wow, is it even possible, to share those stories like really openly and in this way? So, but from another point of view, I still remember Helena's Dwayne Johnson, and it also stands out. I still remember how we had a conversation with Rosie about buying a wooden knife. I remember how Ilker shared with me the story about being like number one, the first person, and all the stuff, and how it because of his name, it means that. So it's always something that stays with me. And I even remember this so fun story that we cut from the final version. So I remember a lot of things. So yeah, I can talk about it forever. So you better stop me.
Okay, thanks for sharing, Yuri, and I'll pass the mic to Ilker.
Hello, just after that, I really don't know how to introduce myself or tackle, just slightly just saying, just being number one and everything. Not exactly by accident, more like, not by choice. But I may as well
But still, it's connected with your life.
Exactly. Completely, like, thrust under the limelight, not by choice, but by force, put it that way. But Yuri, today is about you, and I really would miss it for the world. And 100 episodes, 100 of like anything is just wonderful. And congratulations on that one. And possibly being a part of a big part of that by numbers has been one of the coolest things that I brag about. And I think just this group understands it very well. But my question to you, it just had to be something, bordering on the unusual. And I hope, people feel the same. So again, congrats on 100, episodes. And if you had the power, what else in this world you would have done 100 times with such commitment and without hesitation?
Yeah, I can imagine I would have 100 babies, but definitely with my wife. And I know that isn't possible, but I still remember that it was fun. It's still fun. And it's not always easy for sure, but it's still fun. And I even have this joke that we have 2 dogs, and I'm saying, like, can we switch 2 dogs for 1 kid or something like that? Are there any services that deals with that? So yeah, it's not like, I want to, like go to 100 women and no, not that way. But I mean, like, go through process with like my family and like my children and all this stuff. And it's a little bit of a weird thing. Yeah. So let me choose something better. So I would definitely do once again okay, it doesn't count. I can't repeat. Yeah, I know the rules. And I would do 100 in-person community rebellion conferences or CMX conferences where I would have this opportunity to meet everyone I know in person, to have fun. I've never been there, but I feel like it's amazing to have a karaoke night with Pablo and Jenny because they're hosting it every CMX event. I don't know if it will be for this year, but I feel like it's amazing. So everything that allows me to better be in touch with people I know, I would say I would do this 100,000 times. And yeah, it's all about having fun. And for me, it's very funny.
It is indeed. And thank you very much. And definitely we'd be there 100,000 million times with you as you're organizing these things. Again, from the bottom of our hearts, so to speak. Thanks for organizing all this, which we wouldn't be here talking about it if you didn't.
And we wouldn't be talking about it if every one of you wouldn't be my guests, So
Yuri, it's me again. While you were speaking, I remember during our fun conversation we had, the recorded podcast, we had a very fun conversation. Then out of a sudden, it took a very dark spin. I think the question was, what makes me cry or what makes me sad? And I was prepared for laughing. So, my payback is I want an honest, I don't need names, but maybe just an honest answer. Has there ever been a guest where you thought, what the hell was that? Why did I invite her or him? Did you ever regret wasting an hour of Instagram research and recording? I would throw this away, but I can't because I already announced it or something like this. I don't need a name, but 100, there must be one. Just simple math.
Definitely it won't be a number. And I always have this approach that I'm always learning and I'm always trying to find something nice, no matter what happened. And I'll be honest, if we're honest, I'll be honest. I hope any one of you won't take it personal and won't think it about you. But yeah, it was some person. who I was not ready to have conversation with. So we were really random people. It was really random connection. It was something like they messaged me and like, hey, let's do this conversation. I was like, yeah, let's do, why not? And then after that, I created this rule for myself. So I will never do a conversation if somebody will message me and tell me like, hey, let's have this conversation, unless I know this person and unless I know this person well. Because I usually choose, for example, my process of choosing people is very random. Like I have a list, like if I see somebody, if I meet somebody in the community world, if I meet somebody at some meeting or anywhere, I just add their LinkedIns to my list. And then there is no sequence. And then I see that somehow I see some random post, or we randomly meet at between two work hours or something like that. And I was like, oh, by the way, why don't we have this conversation? Why don't we do this community life conversation? And it works. For me, it works the best way. And even though those people who I meet many people for the first time while having this conversation, so we might be like, as Taylor Harrington told, friend flirting here and there, but we never met. And but I still, something there. So it has to be something inside of me to want to have this conversation. If somebody wants to have a conversation, it has to be a click. It has to be a click. If, for example, any of you would message me and like say, let's do it, I was like, yeah, sure, let's do it. But if somebody who I don't know, most likely I will say, I will add you to my list and then we'll see what happens next.
Thanks a lot, Yuri. Just adding to this, that's why I like that you ask people at the end who they would recommend. So you just have, if you trust the person you had on your podcast this episode, you probably get a somehow decent recommendation for your next episode. Thanks a lot for your honesty.
And by the way, it's rapid fire questions, so you don't have to think a lot about this.
Okay, well, Yuri, we really wish the sky was the limit to the conversation, but time is the limit. So we're going to jump into the rapid fire questions that I guess your favorite part.
Okay, let's do it.
So these questions are coming from the ones who weren't able to join us today. From Max. What is your favorite flower and why?
The fun thing is that I don't know the name of my favorite flower in English. But okay, so let's go with something that I know. So I would say that tulips, because they are beautiful and they grow everywhere and they are like spring flowers. So I really like them. And there are so many different tulips everywhere. And it's like, and the best thing that they are growing at everywhere, at least everywhere I was. So I would go for them.
All right. Okay, this one is from Nicola. What is the best surprise you've ever had, and what is the worst surprise you've ever had?
Best surprise, I don't have it with me, but I use it for my car keys. It was like this small bottle opener from Rome that my wife brought to me. So she went to a work trip there, and then she brought with me this small metal bottle opener. And it was like one of the best things. I still use it to open some Coca-Cola or Pepsi bottles from time to time. And it was definitely the best. And the worst surprise, when I was a kid, and it was like New Year, so we didn't really celebrate Christmas in that way how it's celebrated like in the US and in Europe. So for us, it's like very huge part. It was like New Year where kids got presents and all this stuff. And I hated when I got clothes as presents, clothes. And I was like, shit. Once again, this new sweater or new jeans, or oh my God. But I know why it was, because it wasn't like I had like the richest family and all this stuff. But yeah, it's not a good surprise. I'm trying not to give my kid clothes as surprise.
So we're calling out any sponsors who were thinking about sponsoring the podcast. If you're a food and beverage company, you're more than welcome to come. If you're a clothing company, you might not want to be on this podcast.
But as Said mentioned, only if you are proposing socks.
Okay, this is from Eric. What is your favorite childhood candy or snack?
It's fun. I have like a really long story, but I know that's a rapid fire question, so I won't say the whole story. But the TLDR, I have relatives in the US, and they sent us some stuff from time to time. And I really enjoyed the small snack-sized Snickers. And it was like, oh, wow. Like, we didn't have it in Ukraine back then. And, now we have it, like, I don't know how many years after that. And it was like Christmas to receive all those packages. And I always were searching for some Snickers. So...
Yeah, I definitely know that feeling. You always have one aunt or an uncle who lives abroad and then brings you some snacks or sweets. I always dream to be that aunt, but now with globalization, there's nothing that I can bring to Turkey that they don't have. So. Okay, and then last rapid fire question is from Laura. If we cross paths with you in 5 years, what will you be up to?
Up for a conversation for sure, up for a coffee chat, up for some good cake, up for a walk, up for a hike, up for a biking, everything. And the crazy thing that I'm thinking a lot about, I have no idea what will happen in 5 years. So during the last 2 years, my life changed in so rapidly that I don't know what will be in 5 years. I don't know what will be 10 years. So if somebody would ask me like, where do you see yourself in 10 years? I would say like, on top of the world, maybe on the down of the world. I have no idea. I am not a fortune teller, So yeah, but I hope I won't be too old and sad in 5 years. So
you probably wouldn't in just 5 years.
You never know.
That's true. Okay, before your last signature question, actually, this is one I just made up. Is there any question that you felt like you should have asked to a guest, but you didn't?
I had some conversations, and it's really hard to find this boundary. Sometimes people don't want to answer questions, and I can feel it. It's hard, but I can. When they answer like something like yes or no, and it's kind of like yes, yeah, or like yeah, my parents are good people, yeah, okay. So I really wish I would go deeper, and ask more like why, but I always respect these boundaries. And if somebody tell me like my parents are good people, okay, let's finish on that. Let's go to another question. And but I would really love to know the answer for this question.
And then apart from about a question about your parents, is there any question that we should have asked you today, but we didn't?
I loved this question. I don't remember who asked me, but it was this person who we connected on LinkedIn, and she asked me a question. What is something about you that I won't find on LinkedIn and any other social media? And I never asked this question in the community life conversation. Maybe I will ask it at one point, but it always with me because it was so unusual question, when you are just connecting with somebody. And I remember that my answer was that I walk really silently. And if there is somebody walking in front of me and I go around them, sometimes they're freaking out because they didn't expect this. And I shared this thing with this person, and she told me like, oh, that's exactly how my husband does. So, and I told her like, most likely it's better not to have walks with your husband because people will be definitely freaking out.
And then one more question from Ilker on the chat. What is one thing that we will never ever find out about you if you don't tell us now? What is your secret, Yuri?
What is your secret? What do you smoke? Yeah. Okay, let me think. So, what is one thing that we will never ever find out about you if you don't tell us now? I think that you will never ever find out about me the thing that so hard. Ilkar, what are you doing with me? You will never ever find out, and I won't even tell you how I feel about the war and how I feel about some people. Because I definitely changed my mind during 2 years, and some people who were heroes became anti-heroes and vice versa. But I will never ever tell who and why. It's something like talking about politics. It's sometimes talking about religion. So it's one of those themes I will never ever talk to anyone, except for my wife, most likely. So.
Fair enough. Well, thank you, Yuri, for being our guest on the 100th episode of Community Live Show. And hope to see you.
First of all, thank you. Before you go, thank you very much, Eje, for creating all this. It was super surprised, and thank you all very much for coming here, because I was I had a lot of thoughts in my mind. Who will come? Who will be there? Who will ask these questions? And I didn't think that it will be so many folks, so many amazing people I know. I was thinking most likely it's 1, 2, 3 people, and we'll just have this small conversation. But all of you came. Yeah, thank you very much for that. And first of all, and not the first of all, but one thing that I encourage everyone to do is to go and listen. Everyone who is here in this room right now, to go and listen to each other episodes, because you will definitely find out some very nice and interesting thing about each other, and it'll help you to connect better as humans. So please do that.
May I ask, Yuri, when was the last time you listened to? Do you listen to your old stuff or watch it even? I mean, everything is recorded also on video. Do you go back in YouTube and watch the first episodes, something like this, or is it cringy to you to watch?
I try not to. I try not to. Not because it's kind of cringe, but I did some small video of my first conversation on the phone. Then it was my, 50th conversation. Then it was my conference presentation. It's it's constant improvement. And the more you have this conversation, the better for sure. And the easier it's easier to talk to people. But I recently, I was adding all episodes to Substack to create this newsletter thing, and it's all because of Helena and Elena, because they started doing their community unlocked on Substack, and I was like, oh, okay, it's a good idea, I will do the same. So because of you, I had to sit and add more than 90 episodes manually. Thank you. Yeah. But at that moment, I saw the first, I saw the first conversation with David Spinks, and I was, I had a shitty camera. I had this fancy mic, and I was so afraid of talking to people and asking all those questions, because maybe it will be weird and all the stuff. What if I won't answer? And I learned so many things from that time. So it's fun to go back sometimes,
Well, thank you everyone. Come in.
Thanks a lot.
Thank you, Yuri.
Thank you very much. It was an amazing experience. Thank you. And see you in the community world.